of universal traditions from all over the archaic world. The idea that there were cyclical patterns within nature, many times these were manifested within a fourfold pattern. Even geologists have come to refer to the geological period that we're now in as the quaternary, meaning a fourfold cycle. You know, the Greeks had the gold, the silver, the bronze, and the iron age. That's a reflection of it. The ancient Hindus had the yugas, the Kali Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Satya Yuga, and then the all-encompassing Yuga, the Maha Yuga. We discover, unbeknownst to modern astronomy, that the yugas are actually built upon an actual astronomical cycle called precession of the equinoxes. The precessional cycle was the third motion of the Earth after the diurnal rotation of the Earth on its axis, after the annual revolution of the Earth about its sun. The Earth would go through a third motion, a cycle like this, where its axis goes through a 26,000-year cycle of slowly bringing the Earth into this constantly changing relationship with the cosmic vault. The idea was that as this occurred, the confluence of forces was slowly also going through a change as well. And it would reach, within that cycle, there would be certain critical points. The analogy that I use is something like this. If you're cruising along on a country road, you're kicking back, you've got the stereo on, and you're the only traffic on the road. You're not having to pay a lot of attention. If you wander across the line a little bit, no big deal. But as you're going along, if you come up to an intersection of a major highway with a lot of traffic on it, you've got to shift your conscious mode while you're crossing that intersection, because while you're in that intersection, the danger level is going to increase significantly over what you would be going through in the rest of your journey. Now, as it turns out, there are intersections on our cosmic journey that our planet is on. There are cosmic intersections. And when our planet intersects one of those junctures, the potential for possible things to happen increases exponentially over the normal background potentiality. The idea here, I think, is everybody has known it on some level, instinctively or in your heart, if you don't understand it rationally, that we are apparently headed for one of these junctures where something profound could happen. Of course, whether it happens or not is going to be totally up to us and what we do from here on. And where I'm coming from is that I have been studying, as far as I have had access to it, this archaic science, which is rooted in an intimate understanding of the Earth and an intimate understanding of the sky and the interrelationship of those two things. If you know the golden dictum from the Emerald Tablet of Hermes that says, "As it is above, so it is below," for the performance of the one miracle, this was the guiding credo of ancient civilizations, this linking of what is above with what is below, and the unification of earth and heaven for the creation of the Golden Age. Part of what they did was to enshrine this science of implementing the Golden Age in all of the occult symbolism, all of the esoteric symbolism, all of the various brotherhoods and sisterhoods that have come down through the centuries and through the ages that have had the responsibility for being custodians of this knowledge, of this doctrine. And now we're in a position where 100 years ago, we were just finding out, for example, about the Sumerian civilization. 150 years ago, we were just finding out about the Egyptian civilization or the Indus Valley civilization. We're only now just beginning to come to terms with the advanced, sophisticated civilization that used to occupy North America. We think that the Europeans arrived and nothing much was going on here until the Europeans arrived and began to build our own culture here. Well, we have built our culture on top of the ruins of another culture that preceded us, that created a vast infrastructure over the entire continent. And we've missed it. We've been so busy building our little empire here that we've missed what was right under our feet, that there was a component of the universal archaic civilization right here in North America. So part of what I try to do is make people aware of what was going on right here before the Europeans arrived and how that ties in with what was going on around the rest of the planet before history actually began. And getting back to the idea of the great year and the idea of scale and variance, the great year has generally been, in terms of the sacred numbers, the canon of sacred numbers, we've all heard about the age of Pisces, the age of Aquarius, all of that. The age of Pisces, it was preceded by the age of Aries, that was preceded by the age of Taurus, etc. These are the Platonic months, the months of the great year, which are unfolding at an average rate of about 2,000, or to be exact, 2,160 years. A full cycle of 12 takes 25,920 years, or in round numbers, 26,000 years for one full cycle of this Earth's third motion. So this was, in a sense, the great calendar, the cosmic calendar, and everything was calibrated according to that. And this is why many cultures had multiple calendars, would run a sacred calendar on the one hand and a secular calendar. Usually the sacred calendar was exactly 360 days. The purpose of that was because then it would exactly conform to the 360-degree division of every circle that goes back to the ancient Babylonians and beyond to whoever, whatever other unknown culture they inherited that concept from. But in terms of scale and variance, it's interesting that the whole cycle takes 25,920 years. Well, if you assume, that means that if you actually run the numbers on it, what you'll see is that it takes 72 years for that axial precession to move through 1 degree of this revolution. 72 years. There was just an article in the paper a couple of weeks ago about the expansion of human lifespan in America from an average of like 71.5 up to 73 years. But for a long time in round numbers, a human lifespan could have been considered to be 72 years, or essentially 1 day of the great year. And likewise, if we look at a human lifespan, you can think of a human lifespan as 25,920 days. And that is very close to an average human lifespan. So there's this proportion going on. There's a proportion between the revolution of the Earth about its sun, its second motion, and its precessional motion, its third motion, and the span of a human lifetime to the cycle of 1 day. And that's just one example. I mean, I could cite numerous examples of these kinds of this interconnectedness on the various levels of nature. We're maybe getting a little dark enough to see the slides. Okay, this has kind of always been, we can't even see it, so I'll read it to you. What it actually says up there, it's a quote out of the book of Job, and it says, "Speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee." So this is what we need to do. We need to commence a dialogue with the earth. And I mean a dialogue literally in the sense of going out and talking to the earth. And if you talk to the earth, it will talk back. And it'll teach us, it'll instruct us. Because the earth is, we all know, it's our mother. And that's part of the job of our mother, is to teach us. And it says, to hide things, this is from an old alchemical saying, to hide things is the glory of God. To find them is the glory of man. And of course, to Hermeticists, they believe that there is a hidden wisdom all about us, embedded in everything. And part of our work now is to uncover that hidden wisdom. And to digress back to what I was saying before, we're in a privileged position now because we have access to so much information that it can almost be overwhelming. Hence the value of having patterns that we can use to bring coherence out of this wealth of information that we're otherwise going to be inundated with. And this is one of the things that we begin to look at the archaic science. What we discover is that various cultural groups around the planet through various times it's as if there was a great book of the archaic science, which was about the relationship of the earth and the heavens and the role of human beings within that relationship. Somewhere along the line, that book was separated into all of the different chapters, and these chapters were spread about the planet. And various groups and various organizations and various orders and various institutions were given the responsibility of preserving this information down through the vagaries of time